Okay, testing, testing. Hey, will you sit? Good girl. Okay, got the lawnmower going out here. All right. I guess you can't. Okay, yeah, just got inspiration to make this lesson video, and of course, we've got some yard work going on next door.
The thrill is gone.
Okay, so we're going to be looking at a song called "The Thrill Is Gone," written by Ray Henderson and Lou Brown. But the recording that is most famous in my reality tunnel is Chet Baker's version on the Chet Baker Sings album. Of course, there's the B.B. King version, very beautiful. Well, it's not a version, it's just another song called "The Thrill Is Gone." That's really incredible, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about how to take a jazz ballad with a lead sheet, basically out of the real book, and be able to maybe open up on it in some folk guitar styles and just look at some varieties of ways to interpret it that get us out of maybe conventional jazz grips with melody on top. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to use "The Thrill Is Gone" as a springboard to talk about using the guitar in its possibilities as a guitar to interpret tunes. Okay, so I think the best way to use this video is probably to take a screenshot of this chart that's in the Real Book Volume 3. You can maybe crop it so that it fits like that or whatever, and then have it open maybe on the screen. So when we're discussing the tune and the changes, these chords and stuff, you'll be able to reference what I'm looking at. Okay, here we go. So I think the yard work stopped, which is good. So I guess one of the first things, although that's debatable, just like everything in music, would be to be familiar with this melody, be able to read it. Or you don't need to be able to read it, sorry. Reading it is something that facilitates my learning, but if you could figure it out by ear and then try to locate it in different places on the neck in different ranges, that would be cool. The version that we're looking at is in the key of D minor, which is a nice guitar key because we got all these open chords that we can play in the key of D minor. But so the melody is little Hendrix. anything too spectacular there. First thing in the morning, not warmed up. I'm just trying to voice the melody in different locations. And I kind of did that all in one shot, but you know, like play it all in one zone and another zone and another zone on different groups of strings and be able to kind of move around in that as much as you can. We're all working with limited knowledge, and so, you know, just one thing at a time. Pick an area and be able to play that melody. And then I guess the way that it would most obviously sit on the guitar, if you have some experience with like jazzy chords coming out of the cage shape or the drop twos and the what have yous, you know, would be to like kind of like voice it with the melody on top, like so, you know, I think all those chords were kind of pretty common jazzy guitar chord shapes that we should know. Nothing too weird at all. So I think all those, if you're not familiar with just like common like major 7, minor 7, dominant 7 chords, you know, you can brush up on that. And there's a lot of resources for dealing with that. And I just read through the A section of the song, or just played through the first, what is it, 4, 8, 12 bars, so of that A section. And yeah, so how could I like change that up a little bit? Well, first of all, I could kind of get into just using like bass notes, maybe try to maybe play like half note bass line, or just put maybe whole note would be the easiest place to start. Be like, okay, like my root notes. Things I threw in that last bar, but that would be like a good skill set to just kind of be able to work with and develop, is an ability to do that in different positions also, like, you know, being able to voice it with just the root note, you know, and then that's just going to give me some flexibility on where I play the melody, the different kinds of timbre I can get, just the different string combinations that could lead to interesting harmonies. And then that would be like maybe what we would call a contrapuntal approach, which just means counterpoint, which just means point against point, which just means note against note. Instead of playing a big old clunky chord with a melody note on top, I'm playing the bass as a separate melody from the vocal melody, what's being sung, or the tune of the tune. The thrill is gone. And let's see. Okay, so it should be comfortable with that. Like, I experiment with that for a while, make sure that that's somewhat fluent. It kind of frees you up from these grips that we're kind of stuck in. Because when you play a chord, you know, that's like 5 notes, you know. But instead of thinking that as one shape, you could think of that as like 5 separate voices, and that's a lot to think about. But if you're thinking about 2 voices, you know, it's a little bit easier. And so then I kind of want to know or investigate, if I don't know, like, what are the notes that are in these chords? Like, what's in a D minor 7? Okay, I got my root, my flat 3, my 5, and my flat 7, right? And any of those notes could be bass notes. So the melody could start to get interesting, or the tune could start to get interesting because you have an interesting bass melody, and that's not just hitting root notes and 5s all day long. So that would be something, I don't know, I'll try it. Let's see. kind of a rough read through of just trying to use different bass notes. Maybe something slower than that. Let's do something slower than that. So. So yeah, I'm just struggling to make it happen right now, but that's okay because that's what we call learning. But that's kind of something I just need to warm up on, spend some time doing, and then I can kind of like open up on the tune a little bit more by possibly throwing partial chord voicings in there, or maybe some open strings to kind of make it interesting. And so getting more of into guitar sound. In terms of its resonance as a stringed instrument. So trying to open up a little bit with just, all the open strings are kind of fair game in this pretty much. The B flat, the B string I might avoid unless you're playing that G7, for example, in measures 3 and 4, or maybe the B minor 7 flat 5 in the B section of the song. But but it's kind of also fair game because that note is in a D minor, jazz minor scale, melodic minor scale, right? So yeah, some scale knowledge would be helpful to in terms of like how I can move around in relationship to these chords. But even still, I could like pare it back more than just trying to hit the changes, because since it's in D minor, we could really almost just play the whole song with a D drone, and that would sound super cool, I think. That B, there's B flat. Once I establish that, I could really maybe try to hit parts of the chords with the melody, just with the D drone. That would work pretty well. So. Kind of unlimited possibilities there, just walking through those chords with that D drone. Let's see, so like being able to read this in open position is not a bad idea, right? In addition to like other positions of the guitar. By the way, I got that drop D now. I think you noticed me doing that. So everything that if I want to hit any other bass notes, I gotta move B up a whole step. That takes a little bit of time if you haven't done a lot of that. Yeah, so let's see. Gosh. So yeah, I guess I'm paring this down from a 1 hour lesson. I thought maybe I could do this in 10 minutes, but I don't know. There's a bridge, and there's all kinds of cool stuff that happened in the bridge, like. And one cool thing also, when you're alone, time is kind of flexible. Like so you're not worried about like someone following you. Stop following me. Do your own thing. Because really the melody and the chords are like the melody is chords, right? So like it's just a harmonic pool that we're swimming in. Even a song that has a lot of changes like this. Wes Montgomery would reduce tunes down to like one chord. Maybe not play like a folky dark thing like this, but but make it into like a funky jazz, breezy, awesome thing. And a different genre. I'm on this E flat 9 sharp 11. That's right before the last 4 lines. Turn it around. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I certainly left a lot out. Chromaticism. Okay, I think that was some kind of lesson. Something happened there. Conversation with a phone camera on a tripod in my studio. That was sort of an attempt to distill a much longer discussion I had with a student last night, who was asking questions in real time. But I think a lot of people ask me about this kind of stuff, so I thought if I would just chatted a little bit about how I think about it, and how I could open up on a tune, a jazz ballad, on the guitar in an extemporaneous fashion, using kind of more folk approaches, and yeah. And it goes the other way too, right? How can I make my folk tune jazzier? Just watch this video in reverse.
I can see in your eyes I can hear in your sigh, feel your touch and realize we're free.